All right, let's dive in. If you're a digital nomad dreaming of swapping your home office for a beach in Brazil, there's one topic that can feel like a bit of a headache: taxes. But don't worry, today we are going to make it super simple. So, you've got the visa, you're picturing yourself working from Rio, but then that question pops up. What's the deal with taxes? Well, it's not a straightforward yes or no. Turns out, it all really comes down to just one thing. And what's kind of wild is that this whole seemingly complex web of tax law actually boils down to a single critical number. If you can understand this one number, you'll know exactly where you stand. 183. Yep, that's it. That's the magic number. This single number is what determines your entire financial and legal tax status as a remote worker in Brazil. So let's break down exactly why it's so important. This is what everyone calls the 18 three-day rule. And trust me, it is the absolute key to understanding everything about your tax situation in Brazil. So here's the deal. If you spend 183 days or more physically inside Brazil during any 12-month period, you officially become a tax resident. And that's a huge deal. Why? Because it means Brazil can now tax your worldwide income, not just money you might make from a local source. Now, here's the detail that trips a lot of people up. It's how the clock works. As you can see here, it's a rolling 12-month period, not a simple calendar year. So if you land in August 2025, you could easily cross that 183-day line in February of 2026. The clock doesn't just reset on New Year's Eve. Once you hit that mark, bam, you're a tax resident for 2026. So what this really does is put every digital nomad at a fork in the road. How long you stay sends you down one of two very different paths, each with totally different tax rules. Let's check out the first path, the short stay. Okay, this path is for all of you who want to experience Brazil without becoming a full-blown tax resident. It's definitely the simpler option designed for anyone staying under that 183-day magic number. If you stay under the limit, the rules are incredibly friendly. And the most important one is right there at the top. Your salary from your job back home is completely off limits to the Brazilian government. That's huge. You'd only really pay tax on money you earn from a Brazilian client, plus a tiny fee on currency transfers. So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway for most of you. If all your clients are outside of Brazil, and you pack your bags before day 183, your only real tax is that teeny tiny 0.38% fee when you move your money over. I mean, that's a pretty fantastic deal. But what if you fall in love with the place and decide to stay longer? Well, that takes us down path 2, becoming a tax resident. And this is the single most important rule you have to burn into your brain if you're staying long term. The second you become a tax resident, Brazil sees your entire financial world as fair game. Your salary, your investments, even rental income from a property back home, it all becomes taxable right there in Brazil. So what does that actually look like? Well, Brazil uses a progressive system where the rates go up as your income does. But take a look at that top bracket. Notice when it kicks in? Just over $830 a month. Yeah, you heard that right. Keep that number in your head. And this is why that number is so important. To even get the Digital Nomad Visa, you have to prove you make at least $1,500 a month. But the highest tax bracket starts at just over $800. You see the gap? The math here is pretty simple. If you're in Brazil on a nomad visa and you become a tax resident, you are almost certainly going to be paying that top rate of 27.5%. Okay, so no matter which path you end up on, there are a few essential tools you are absolutely going to need to handle your money in Brazil. Think of this as your financial survival kit. The first, and by far most important tool, is the CPF. This is Brazil's individual taxpayer ID number. And let me tell you, it is the absolute key to unlocking your entire financial life in the country. The good news is getting one is actually pretty straightforward. As you can see, you can do it in person once you arrive. You can get it sorted out at a consulate before you even leave home. And sometimes you can even do it online. The key is just to get this done as soon as you possibly can. And why am I making such a big deal about it? Because you literally can't function without one. Want to open a bank account? You need a CPF. Signing a lease on an apartment? Need a CPF. Just want to get a local SIM card for your phone? Yep, you need a CPF. It's essential for just about everything in daily life. Okay, for those of you thinking about path 2, becoming a tax resident, this next part is critical. how do you avoid the absolute nightmare scenario of paying taxes on the same income to both Brazil and your home country? This is where it can get a little tricky. Brazil actually doesn't have tax treaties with a lot of major countries, including the US, the UK, and Canada. What that means is there's no automatic agreement in place to prevent that double taxation, which is a big risk you need to be aware of. But don't panic, there are solutions. If you're a US citizen, for instance, you can use things like the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion or the Foreign Tax Credit to help lower your US tax bill. But that pro tip on the slide, take it seriously. This is not do-it-yourself territory. You absolutely need to work with a tax professional who understands the laws in both countries. So, to wrap all this up, let's talk strategy. How can you be smart about this? How can you plan your stay in Brazil to make this whole tax situation work for you? Here are a few key moves. The simplest by far is just to stay under 183 days. That way you avoid becoming a tax resident altogether. But if you are staying long-term, arriving early in the calendar year can make filing your first return a lot easier. And don't forget to look for deductions. Things like private health insurance and having dependents can directly lower your taxable income in Brazil. And that brings us right back to that fork in the road. Is Brazil going to be a short, sweet visit for you, or the beginning of a much longer chapter? Now that you understand 183-day rule, that powerful choice, and all the tax consequences that come with it, is all yours.